Hey there YouTube, California Prepper here. This is going to be my video entry into FringeSnipers Zombie Knife Giveaway. He's giving away some pretty cool prizes. He's giving away zombie knife K-bar. I'm not exactly sure what the name is. I think it's a zombie knife. I'm pretty positive the brand, but it's made by K-bar, which is a pretty cool little knife. And he's also giving away Gerber Paraframe, I believe. Uh, something like that. Don't quote me on that. But what was really unique about his contest was actually something that I was actually talking to my old lady about earlier. I swear we had this discussion just earlier tonight when we were talking about her ordering me a knife. Because I was like, oh, I hope you didn't get serrations. And she's like, what do you mean? And we were talking about the differences in blades. And then I happened to see this video and his contest, and I just thought, man, this is too perfect. So, what I was telling her is, back before I didn't really know anything about knives. As you can see, this was my old crappy piece of junk knife that I had probably 3 years ago. It's a piece of junk now. It's all tightened up extra tight just so it doesn't fall apart and wiggle loose. But this is one of the very few blades that I have that actually has serrations on it. This blade has serrations, and this thing's not sharp at all. These serrations are probably the sharpest thing on this knife. And but here on this knife, this is also my other no-name cheap knife, I guess, if you'd like to call it. The guy wanted 35 bucks for it, but I talked him down to a $20 bill. And it's still a lot. I mean, even compared to my Kershaw's, it's still, I mean, it's heavier than most of the knives here on this table. It has a lot of weight to it. It's 440 stainless. It's China made, but it's an actually quality made knife. I happen to think that this is a clone for some reason, because it's not just a junky knife that you would get at any tobacco store or liquor store. This is actually a pretty high quality generic knife. Very sturdy, and probably the only generic knife that I will still keep in my collection because I love the way it looks, and I would still carry this knife and I would still trust my life to it. It's just not as sharp as the rest of these, and it's of course not a name brand, but it does have some really cool features, like the lock system. Thanks Survival Craft for telling me the name of that. CRKT invented this lock system. With this lockup, you cannot close the blade no matter what, even if the liner lock's depressed. So that's a pretty cool little piece to this cheap knife. But the main part about this knife that I didn't like was a serrated blade. Now back then, when I thought this was a pretty good knife, I didn't know any better. But once I started actually paying for knives, and had, you know, the option between full serrated, partially serrated, and a plain edge, I always went with the plain edge. And now, for the simple reason is, I can't sharpen this entire blade, for one, with just a normal sharpener. I would have to go in between each and every one of these teeth with a rasp and sharpen them up, and it's a pain in the butt. And to tell you the truth, if if your knife isn't sharp enough to cut through anything that you should be facing and you really need teeth, I mean, you shouldn't be using a knife on that. You should be using a saw or something, obviously, because, I mean, my knives, every single knife on this table is sharper than even the teeth on this blade. I guarantee you, all these knives here will go through something quicker than these teeth will. Now, these are good for sawing, thick stuff if you were to be, cutting through weeds or cutting through, brush and bundling it up and sawing through it. Now, that's a different story. Now, that all depends. But if it's just an everyday carry blade for me, I don't like serrations. If it's a work knife, that might be a different story, depending on what you're doing. If you're cutting sod, doing landscaping, and you're laying sod and having a slice through it, then yes, a serrated blade's awesome. But other than, heavy-duty work like that, or EMT work, where you're having to cut through bandages and whatnot. But even then, a sharp, straight blade, plain edge, will do the job. And I love the plain edge. And actually, if you look online, every time when you go to order a knife, I was looking at the Kershaw Blur, the tactical Blur, and I want that knife so bad. And you can find the serrated Tonto edge for $52, $54, not a problem. Everywhere, they're everywhere. But the straight edge, just the all black with the straight edge, plain edge, is 60, 70 bucks. And if you want the better steel, the SV whatever it is, then that's, of course, even more. But a plain edge knife goes for more than a serrated edge knife, which you would think that the serrated edge would be extra work, so that would be more expensive, but it's actually, a plain edge is a more sought after blade for some reason. I prefer it on all my knives, and if I'm going to actually buy a knife, I'm going to make sure that it's a plain edge. That's something that we were having to talk about earlier, and I found out that my Mannix that she ordered me, the Mannix extra large, is a plain edge, so thank goodness. I am a plain edge guy. Every knife on this table that I have paid for since I've started collecting knives is a straight edge. I don't know if it's just a personal preference, really, but I've never encountered something that I couldn't cut through with one of these knives. All these knives are razor sharp. Well, these ones anyhow. This one I haven't tried sharpening because of this as well, and I don't want to really mess up the finish of it. I might pass this down to my boy as his first knife or something, I'm not sure, but it's a really nice knife. So, but that's going to do it, bud. I hope you like the VR. I'll probably going to do another more in-depth argument about this, because I think there's a lot more to this argument than I've put out there, and I can't wait to see what other people think. So that's going to do it for now. This is an awesome contest, brother, and congratulations. You have a great channel, and just want to show you some support as well. So that's going to do it for now, guys. California Prepper, out.